Hello YouTubers, this is MDuh, and today I will be reviewing the cave. Before I introduce you to the game, I'm just gonna show you a glimpse of the cave's PC options. This will be a good time to pause the video if you want to read all the options, as I'll just skim all the pages here for the sake of time. There. Now that's done. Let's head inside the game, shall we? So what is the cave? Well, it's a co-op puzzle platformer made by Double Fine Productions. Double Fine is responsible for games like Psychonauts, Brutal Legends, Costume Quest, and etc. The game supports up to 3 players locally, so you start on the game by picking 3 of the 7 characters introduced at the start. You are greeted by this cave's charming voice. Yes, it's a talking cave. Each of the character has their own dark and deep story behind them, and also a counter dark story if you choose to. So there's a replayability potential in this game. Basically, the game asks you to uncover the secrets below the cave. It's filled with numerous puzzles and also levels based on the characters you pick to learn more about its storyline. Each of the character has its own special abilities, so there will be instances that you need a specific character to reach a part of the cave, or I mean level, adding more replayability points for the game. The puzzles in this game ranges from logical to annoying. Most of the puzzles are designed to utilize all 3 characters in solving the puzzles. Sometimes just be a smooth breeze solving it, but there are also times where it's annoying enough that you wouldn't expect to solve the puzzle in that manner. Another factor that adds the annoyances in this game is the lack of split screen support. It's supposed to be a co-op game, but they purposely locked the camera to a certain distance so the 3 of you wouldn't be scattering around, but you ventured enough far away in the camera, it will prevent you from doing so, or the worst part is it will move the camera focus to one guy. So imagine 3 of you playing the cave and this one guy just move out of the camera a bit. It will be focused to him, and the controls from the 2 of you will be I wouldn't say disabled, but you wouldn't see your characters, so you wouldn't know what's happening. But if you moved your controls on the keyboard or gamepad, you can still move it, but you would just not see it. Another part on the bad game design this game is it doesn't have any AI. I mean, the AI I'm referring to is AI companions. So if you're playing alone, a single player, you're required to control all the characters one by one. They will not follow you. Since it's a platformer, you're guaranteed to jump on some of the puzzles 3 times. You're to climb a stairs 3 times and swim to 1.3 times. The lack of AI puts all the work for you, so it becomes a hassle in a while. So the replayability is kind of hit or miss because of this design flaws. But the main gripe is this for me. It's the lack of the inventory feature. We're only allowed to hold 1 item every character. So you're wondering how this becomes an annoyance? Well, in some larger maps that involves puzzles, there are instances that you need to use an item and also to use the other character station to another area, ready to press the button, pull a lever, or stand on a, what do you call that in Minecraft? Trapdoor or something. If one of your characters is holding an item and it's on the other side of the map, you need to walk him way over to the other side, drop the item, and walk him back to the station area. So it becomes a chore to do this puzzle sometimes, and that makes gameplay boring. So for the gameplay score, I'm gonna give the cave a score of 5.5. So that's all for the gameplay. Let's head to graphics. Graphics and performance. As you can see, the game has its own unique styles and graphics on it. The graphic style is really good. I don't see any level that is poorly made and designed graphically. Poorly, did I say that correctly? Poorly made and poorly designed graphically, that's the correct one. The atmosphere of the game fits the game and story surprisingly well. Imagine they managed to fit a carnival, a castle, a forest, and etc. inside a cave, and it doesn't look weird at all. But the game has some performance issues though. While I was recording this, I used the X story by the way. The X story says that I'm running the game at 60 frames per second and recording also at 60 frames per second, but it doesn't look like it. For me, it feels and plays like a 30 frames per second game. I am sure the devs have already addressed this issue, but I know at release of the game was locked at 30 frames per second, and they made a statement in the Steam forums that they're eventually gonna fix it. I don't know if it's already fixed or they just made a placebo effect, putting a 60 frames per second, but it feels like a 30 frames per second game. So for the graphics and performance score, the game gets an 8 out of 10. For the sound of dialogues, you know, the fact that I didn't think about the sounds while I'm making this review means that it's good, because you know, if it didn't bother me at all, then it means it fits the atmosphere and motive of the game really well. For dialogues, the game's character, well, they are mute, so they won't say anything. They'll just murmur like They'll just murmur that. But the humorously good narrator makes the dialogues fun to hear, garnering a perfect score for the sound and dialogue. For the final verdict, is it worth it? Well, the game was released on multiple platforms, but since it is a PC review, we're only gonna be concerned on PCs. The game was released on the Steam platform on January 22 this year, 2013, and since then the game has dropped below $5 since release in other digital download shop like Nuvem and Gamersgate. For what it's worth, me and my sister finished one playthrough in around 4.5 hours, right exactly from the average time from how long to beat. As I said earlier, there is replayability potential in the game. The game can be replayed up to 5 times at most, I think, to unlock all the story behind of each character. There are 14 stories to be unlocked, 2 if each character branching out. So one character, there will be 2 endings. For me, it's hard to replay the game though, since it feels doing 3 of the 6 puzzles again becomes a major chore. Basically, each playthrough, the game will give you 6 levels, 3 of which is given regardless the character you choose, and 3 of each from all the characters. I don't know if that sounded right, but if you can tolerate the annoyances in this game and some of this repetition, I think this will be a good game for you. So, for $15, I think it's a good experience playing the game, and also with its unique atmosphere. But I suggest to get the game at least on 50% sale due to its design flaw and repetition. It will just be a good play, just for its uniqueness, the puzzle, and the atmosphere of the game, because it's really good. It's just the design flaws that lowers the game's quality. For 50% sale, I think the games will be worth it. So the final score for this game will be 6.7 out of 10. I gave it a ratio of 60-30-10 because I think gameplay is much more important for this kind of game instead of graphics and stuff. So that's all for it. Thanks for watching the Cave review, and be sure to subscribe to see my future videos and reviews. Also, thank you for Rapidly Reviewing, who sponsored the game so I can review it. Bye guys!